As part of the canine team, I think about 12 or 15 of us, one of the main roles that I do quite a lot is going to court supporting vulnerable victims, mainly cases where there's been some form of abuse. I think it's good to give something back to society when you've been a police officer, you know the kind of stress and the things that people are dealing with, how long they've taken to get to court and what an important day this is, and you can make that experience better for them and help them get through that. So that I find that quite rewarding. Hopefully Archie does as well. Every time we've gone in there, he's had a positive impact. Some people will grab hold of him and want him to sit on their lap. Some people will just be happy that he's in the room. Dogs pick up on people that are genuinely warm to dogs. They also obviously pick up very quickly if people are shy or are a bit scared, so that he's very good. He'll keep away if someone doesn't want to know.
It's matching up, isn't it?
Yeah,
the right dog for the right scenario. I enjoy meeting new people, and I absolutely love being with my dog. So it was the best of two together, and seeing how people react around a dog. When you meet someone who's maybe slightly vulnerable or very shy, not very open to give information, and the minute you bring a dog into the scenario, it completely changes.
Very stressful situations like courts, maybe in other situations and police interviews, people waiting for that. It's a real way of just taking the tension out of a situation. It's kind of what you make it, really. If you want to do something where you think a therapy dog would be useful, you can actually try and seek out that role.
Welcome to More Than the Badge, a Kent Police podcast. My name is Jodie Stammers and I'm a contact handler and dispatcher, but I'm also a community policing volunteer with my dog Charlie. Today's episode is with Adrian Rabot. Adrian is a community policing volunteer with his dog Archie and is also a cadet leader. Welcome to the podcast, Adrian.
Thank you, Jodie. It's great to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up volunteering for Kent Police?
I was in the Met for 30 years, retired 15 years ago, so I've had a good time out now. Always in uniform policing, response, and then neighbourhood policing. And I really enjoyed the last few years when I was at New Scotland Yard, when I was responsible for the youth strategy, where you basically were looking at either diversionary programmes, projects, tackling knife crime, that sort of thing, but also things like the police cadets and volunteering. So, yeah, quite a varied career.
You've done a bit of travelling?
Well, I was very lucky, obviously, as part of that last role, looking at expanding things like the cadets, schools policing, other youth programs. We helped set up schools policing and the cadet schemes in South Africa, and that was an amazing project. But we've also been to Trinidad and Tobago, Washington, with something called Midnight Basketball. So lots of different programs aimed at young people who are sometimes on the cusp of criminality, or some that are possibly even more involved in crime, but getting them into some positive activities and diverting them away from crime. So, yeah, there's a lot of interest all over the world in innovative schemes like that.
Sounds like a really good experience.
Yeah, it was great.
So what is your role as a community policing volunteer?
So as part of the canine team, there's I think about 12 or 15 of us. It's basically well-being in offices. We have short visits there. One of the main roles that I do quite a lot is going to court supporting vulnerable victims. And they could be anything from a young person who's been a victim of violence, or it could be someone domestic abuse. So it's a wide range of children, adults. So it's quite a challenging role. I also go into schools, play schemes, summer schemes. Quite a different role. Archie can get quite excited if there's lots of young people. So it's really a varied role. It's kind of what you make it, really. If you want to do something where you think a therapy dog would be useful, you can actually try and seek out that role and see if you can do that. So it's quite an interesting and varied role.
When you go out, how do you react? How do you interact with the people you're visiting?
So obviously there's got to be a certain amount of work done before in the risk assessment to find out who you're who you're going to. But other than that, it's really about getting to know people. It's like police, all about getting to know people, how they might react. And obviously some people react differently, but generally the person who's requested the therapy dog or the group will know what they want, and you know what your dog can do. You know that where they might struggle if they get too excited. But generally we listen to people and communicate with what they want. And I think you can see whenever you take the dog in, everyone, the atmosphere completely changes. It becomes a lot more friendly. And I think in very stressful situations like courts, maybe in other situations and police interviews, people waiting for that, it's a real way of just taking the tension out of a situation.
And can you tell us a bit about Archie?
Oh, so Archie, he's a Cavachon, half King Charles Cavalier Bichon. The Bichon is the silly part, I think. But he's really good family dog. He's very good with people, obviously, as part of this role. And I think he's got an older dog, Bichon, Tess, who's 15, who he sort of looks up to. So he's a good dog with dogs his size, perhaps a little scared of other dogs, very good with people, and a really good family dog.
And how long have you had him?
So I've had him since a puppy, since he was about 18 weeks. So he's progressed from being quite a lively, naughty little puppy that used to bite everyone's feet to being a little bit calmer, but still likes like any dog, likes to go out and run and get muddy and jump in water and get very messy.
Does he enjoy it when he sees his harness come out?
Oh, definitely. Both this one, my wife's actually said, do you think he knows a difference when he puts this harness on and his other ones, that he's actually going to work? Because he really enjoys coming to, seeing people come into offices. So generally, or going into courts, he's really excited. So maybe associates this harness with the work that he has to do.
So when you take him to a visit, do you feel like he reads people's emotions? Does he act differently depending on where he is, on who he's with?
Oh, definitely. I mean, obviously dogs pick up on people that genuinely warm to dogs. They also obviously pick up very quickly if people are shy or are a bit scared, so that he's very good. He'll keep away if someone doesn't want to know. I think he only reacts if the person is really open, but they can pick up by the smell that someone's really receptive. And he seems to calm things down and really take to people that really want to get to know him.
You can tell he knows you're talking about him.
We don't get a chance to meet the other dogs, so it'd be really interesting to hear about Charlie and the sort of work he does and how he enjoys being a therapy dog.
So Charlie is a mixed breed from abroad. We rescued him from Macedonia. I know.
I can hear you.
So we rescued him from Macedonia. We've had him for about 5-6 years. So he's about 7 years old now. We mainly do a lot of visits in the police, so a lot of police station visits. We do support the mental health day. And we have done a few care homes. I think we've done one school. And we do a lot of youth clubs through the summer holidays. Okay. He just absolutely loves people. The minute he knows he's going somewhere where there's going to be people to fuss him, he's straight on the floor, belly up.
So when you say you rescued him, did you have a sort of a profile of him, or did you go out to a home and pick a dog from a lineup or a group, that sort of thing?
So we found a group that was bringing them over from Macedonia. It was a charity that's based over there, and they just had him up already. They'd brought him over for another family who wasn't interested in him when they got him over here. We drove up to Reading. I decided to get a dog, and the next day I come home with Charlie. So
is it like the community police team that you're assessed and interviewed, and to see if you're suitable for this type of dog?
So the rescue was completely separate. So I rescued him, and we just noticed his nature was really genuine. He's more interested in people than he is dogs. He absolutely loves being around people. So we rolled him up. We done a public assessment test, which he done really well in. And he's just thrived from there. He loves it when his harness comes out and he knows where he's going, and he squeaks the whole way across the car park.
Yeah, he certainly looks at he'll be good in lots of roles
Yeah.
because he's such a good nature, really.
He's a lot better with the calmer people. If I sort of go to a school or a youth club where they want to play and throw balls, he's not the best suited dog. But for the care homes or the more vulnerable people, or probably the courtrooms where you need a more laid back dog, he's well suited.
I think that's the same with Archie. When you've got people pulling him from different angles, everyone wanting him, he just doesn't know where to go. Whereas in a calmer situation, he'll naturally go towards people.
It's matching up, isn't it?
Yeah,
the right dog for the right scenario.
I know I've seen a collie in one of the teams, and a lively dog like that is great in schools because people, the kids love to play with very nice dogs that you can throw things, they'll bring things back. But I don't think these two are those kind of dogs, are they?
No, they just want to cuddle and a belly rub and a bit of and a snack. So what kind of cases does Archie support when you go out?
So he's done quite a lot. He's mainly cases where there's been some form of abuse. We don't ask anything about that, and I don't really might just get to know a name, but other than that, they're normally someone that just is obviously very nervous about giving their evidence. They could be there for quite a while. It can be anything from a child 5 to 6 to I had quite a fairly tall, muscular 20-year-old male, 34-year-old female. So it's such a varied group, and you never know until you get there about the person or what. So you really have to sort of make a judgment at the time. And sometimes you're just in the room with the family and friends, just trying to lighten the atmosphere, and the person giving evidence who you're there for might not want to interact so much with you, but because Archie can de-escalate the tension in the whole room, it just makes the whole atmosphere better. So you have to judge how much contact the person needing the support might want, and how much you're there as another way of helping managing a very stressful situation.
And are there certain visits you and Archie enjoy doing more?
I just like the challenge of doing lots of different things. It's sometimes you can go you think you're going to a play scheme and you're asked to do something completely different, or you can go into I'm sure you've been into a care home when you might not know the kind of people that you're supporting. You might not get a lot of information. I find going into situations where you have to think on your feet is quite interesting, and you've got to think for him as well. So I don't mind as long as it's a challenge and he gets enjoyment out of it, and a certain amount. I think it's good to give something back to society when you've been a police officer. You know the kind of stress and the things that people are dealing with, how long they've taken to get to court, and what an important day this is, and you can make that experience better for them and help them get through that. So that I find that quite rewarding. Hopefully Archie does as well.
Yeah, it's quite nice going out and seeing how people react with the dogs, isn't it? They might be a bit nervous talking to you, but the minute there's a dog around, everyone's happy, everyone's friends, and the whole
even
dynamic.
going through security, they know me now, so someone takes Archie and they're playing with Archie while I'm going through the search arch and he's off already with security guards, or some of the barristers know him, come down. And so the whole range of people that I think he interacts with, he just loves it. And I think it just helps to reduce the tension, not just in the witness room area, but also throughout the court. So
brings a lot of people together, doesn't it?
So I think even downstairs when he came here with the recruits, how many of them came up to him, and I'm sure, and said, "Oh, can he come up to the classroom?" So it as you know, with Charlie, just so many people warm to a dog being in that environment, and can reduce make 10-15 minutes of their time much happier, really.
So what positive impact do therapy dogs have on the victims?
I think, well, we've had probably about 3 or 4 in the last 3 weeks. We've probably got a couple more coming up. We've probably about 10 or 12 visits in the last 3 or 4 months. So we do quite a lot of those I think we get a lot of feedback from the people that are giving evidence, so it's not just the person who he's there to support. The family might be there. Sometimes a younger victim will bring their siblings in as well, so you end up with a very young child wanting to interact, which is difficult because you try to focus on the person giving evidence, but therefore if you can help the whole family, it really eases the tension in the room as well, because as you know, it takes so long for these cases to come to court. They're focused on making this one appearance that they've got now and getting it right, and sometimes they can be so nervous that that it can inhibit them. So just letting them relax, and then the time that they have to wait, which could be hours, could be right till the end of the day, I think that ability for to actually reduce the tension and get them to calm down, and then obviously other people will get them focused, but just generally helping everyone in the room relax and reduce the tension in what is a difficult experience, and probably some people that's their one and only time they'll ever go to court. So yeah, it's a really momentous a thing for them to try and get through.
And has there been one visit that you've noticed that sort of stuck by you with the amount of impact that Archie's had, like a difference in someone's behaviour from when you've arrived?
I think it's just seeing this. You go into the room and you can sometimes cut the tension, and it completely see people smile. It's most. I think every time we've gone in there, he's had a positive impact. Some people will grab hold of him and want him to sit on their lap. Some people will just be happy that he's in the room. So yes, there has been one occasion when she wanted to take him into the court, and obviously that's not possible. Those hasn't happened yet. I think it's happened in abroad where dogs are allowed to go into the witness, but it's the possibility of them making some sort of distraction is obviously not the kind of thing that's been trialled here, but maybe it will happen. But certainly that victim was so taken with having Archie there that she wanted actually him to go into court with her, and unfortunately couldn't do that.
So they spend time with the victims sort of outside the courtroom, and they're there before or after?
So we generally stay in the witness room, but if they want to have a little walk around and get a bit of fresh air, we'll go out with them and that sort of thing. And so just generally be with the principal giving evidence, or sometimes they just want you to stay with the family while they go off and have their consultations. They know that their family, or maybe they've brought children in, have got someone to distract them. So it is quite you have to sort of judge things to see what the person, the victim, will really want, and sometimes just being there is all they want, and that's fine.
So what made you decide to join up with Archie?
Well, we saw something, I think it was on the news, about one feature on the BBC saying that the role of the therapy dog. As I said, I volunteer with the police cadets, and I know the value of volunteering to policing. When I got to know the role, I thought, yeah, he'll be a good dog. He's got that kind of temperament. Took quite a while to get through the system, but gradually, as talking to Martin, the coordinator, the kind of things we do, I thought, yes, I think I can support that. I think we can do that. I think he enjoys that. That kind of role. So we gradually worked our way into it. We worked out a few things ourselves in terms of perhaps going into play schemes that were local to us, where I live. So that was useful. So then he got to know local children as well. That was quite interesting, because when you go to those sorts of areas, children that are afraid of dogs get a really good controlled way of introducing themselves to a friendly dog. So there's lots of benefits, I think, to the role and how you can make it work. And
how long have you two been volunteering now?
About 18 months now. So there's lots of different things to do. There's lots of new schemes coming up. I think Martin mentioned there's one coming up with the university, where you've got university students coming to Kent, and then they're a long way from home, you can go in and help them acclimatise to being in a different environment, a different part of the country, and spend time with with a dog, which maybe they help them relax when they're far away from home. So there's quite a variety of things to do, and as I said earlier, you can try and find roles that you think you might make it work as well.
There's always new places being added to the list,
definitely.
and adapting on where we can go, and new sort of adventures that we can take with dogs. And so it's been really exciting, isn't it? Finding new locations, new people to go visit.
I think that's part of the fun as well, is actually, so you do the standard visits, but you can actually think, I think my dog might be good in that situation, and you can try and work a way of making that one work. So yeah, you can be creative in what you do.
No, I definitely agree. So when you signed up and you got the approval, what training did it intake?
As I said, it took quite a while in terms of the vetting, as always it does. Quite interesting. I got quite a lot of information through the program about dogs, which I wasn't aware of. It made me think, it'd be nice to do a proper course in knowing about dog behaviour and that sort of thing. But certainly, looking at the way the dogs behave, it made me think, actually, that's probably why Archie behaves in that way in certain situations. So there was quite a lot of input from Martin and which is giving you factual information about dogs, which you're able to sort of transfer on when you do your talks to schools. Children find it very interesting to hear how dogs can track people, how they're strong, how they can pick up on emotions, what sort of things dogs like and dislike. So you learn a lot. I learned a lot myself through the process, and obviously he learned a little, because I had to try and make sure he behaved himself a little bit more. He walked to heel a bit better, little things like that. So I had to do a little bit of work to make sure he was suitable for the role. But I think generally the assessment is around the temperament of the dogs and how they react to people, and I think he passed that quite quickly with Martin.
So we went to a local supermarket for our pod. Did you do the public assessment? So we just popped to the local supermarket with Martin, just to see how the temperament, how he was around people, handling.
No, we just went to walk around the village and and he wanted to see how he'd react, as you say, to people, if he'd keep to a heel. But a supermarket must have been challenging, I suppose.
Yeah, and they made us sit in a cafe. So there was people with food next to us, biscuits, cups of tea, and he did really well. He was a really good boy. But it was just nice to put him out of his comfort zone and see how he was going to react being a rescue. And we'd only had him for a year. It was nice to see how he was going to react to a new situation, and he was absolutely fine.
What sort of work do you think he prefers, in terms of what's kind of the roles that he finds more interesting?
Anyone that's going to sit on the floor and give him a belly rub and a treat, Charlie would be happy to sit there all day.
The treats work well, don't they?
Treats work very well, and a belly rub. What about Archie?
Yeah, same. I think it's just the attention they really crave, isn't it? So anyone that's going to give them that attention and that eye contact, and obviously treats when they're allowed. But it's just that, I think that interaction is what they thrive on, isn't it?
And did you have any of the training afterwards, regards of like the mental health, the first aid training?
I do some of that, obviously, with the cadets. So in terms of first aid and mental health and working with vulnerable adults, some of that's covered. So I think that those courses are always coming out, but because they apply to my other role, I probably I do that anyway. So I haven't done so many with the canine team, but quite a lot with the cadets.
So it's sort of, you've had the transferable skills from the other volunteering roles.
That's right,
And what made you volunteer, just in general?
Well, I suppose it's spending quite a lot of time when I was in the police, persuading people to volunteer as specials. I thought, well, maybe you should practice what you preach. Certainly, I had a lot of belief in being involved with volunteering with young people. So the cadets, football schemes, and that. I used to be involved with a football scheme with Charlton Athletic where they football in the community scheme. We helped them set that up back in about 2006, and now that's one of the best football community schemes in the country. And they help disadvantaged young people just play football. It's not about spotting talent, it's just about getting as many people, young people who have nothing much to do, getting them involved in sport. So I've always been involved, I'd like getting involved in volunteering, helping particularly young people. So in terms of this role, it's just another aspect to giving back something to the community. I've had very lucky to have had 30 years in the police, good career, learnt a lot of skills that I think it's nice to be able to still use those skills and make a difference in the community. Why do you like volunteering or in the community police volunteers?
So I currently work up in the control room for Kent Police. So we answer phone calls and dispatch officers. But I actually wanted an opportunity to directly go out and help people. And I quite enjoy networking. I enjoy meeting new people. And I absolutely love being with my dog. So it was the best of two together. And seeing how people react around a dog. When you meet someone who's maybe slightly vulnerable or very shy, not very open to give information. And the minute you bring a dog into the scenario, it completely changes. You have a bit of a rapport built up, and seeing that, I think it's priceless. And knowing I think it's your own dog. Yeah.
Do you find that a lot of your skills that you hone being in the control room are transferable in the role that with the therapy role?
Definitely, and I do think it's helped me become a better volunteer. I've learned how to interact with vulnerable children and adults, and how to read people and read scenarios. So when I do go out, I probably do risk assess or read scenarios slightly differently, and I can read when to sort of maybe take a step back, or sort of push a little bit more with Charlie. So I think being able to read a scenario, I think I can get the best out of him and the best out of the situation.
So, I mean, everyone's always looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who wants to volunteer, say with young people or in this kind of, or how would you persuade them to put themselves forward?
I would just say, what are you going to lose? There's no minimum hours. There's no maximum hours. You can put in as much time as you want to put in. And the rewards you get out and the feeling that you get out of each visit, I think is absolutely priceless. And I've met so many nice people out in the public and other colleagues in the role. I think it's a great opportunity. And what have you got to lose?
And I also think that if sometimes when you're dealing with very stressful situations, coming into this kind of role gets you into a different atmosphere, a different dynamic, and able to sort of react differently. With perhaps your role might be involved in quite a lot of more stressful situations. So this is not a way of calming yourselves down from that, I think.
It's very nice to be in my job is quite high pressure, so it's really nice to be able to have the volunteering as where I can engage with people on a less pressured level. People aren't in the most critical time of their life. They're not in panic. So you can engage with people a lot differently. And I think it's just really nice to have that side of it. And you just meet lots of new people and lots of different people as well. And
it's nice to see the way that going into a situation, the dog can change the dynamic and make everyone calmer, happier, and just make them forget some of the difficulties or some of the stresses they might be facing, or even just help them relax, really.
And see strangers always come together. And I feel like you might not know the other people, but when there's a dog around, it takes away that feeling of not being confident around people you don't know, because everyone has a central part to talk about and they all want to be around the dog.
Isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I really enjoy it. Well, it's been lovely to meet you and Archie, and it's really nice to meet a fellow colleague from the canine team, because we don't get to cross over that much. So
definitely, Jodie,
it's been a pleasure.
It's been good meeting you and Charlie.
If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook and LinkedIn, where we'll be posting previews of our upcoming episodes. You can watch this episode on our YouTube channel and find out more about the variety of opportunities available by searching Kent Police Careers.